Got at her bachelorette party, so I vanished quietly before the wedding and what? Hello everyone. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now let's begin the video. Using a throwaway for obvious reasons with certain specifics modified to preserve anonymity. My Jennifer got gang beaten at her bachelorette party, so I quietly disappeared before the wedding, and what happened after left everyone stunned. I'm 32 and a guy, and I was supposed to marry Mai, who's 29, last weekend after 3 years together. We were convinced she was the one. I thought we had a solid relationship. We'd been together for 5 years total, mostly living under the same roof, and I genuinely believed we had something real. Went on her bachelorette trip to Miami with 7 friends 2 weekends before the wedding. I wasn't worried at all. We trusted each other completely. I just figured they'd hit a few bars, maybe dance at some clubs, and probably see a male stripper or two, typical bachelorette stuff. I even dropped her off at the airport, kissed her goodbye, and told her to have a good time. While she was gone, I hung out with my buddies, wrapped up wedding planning, and picked up my tuxedo. Everything felt normal. She kept texting me, saying how much fun she was having, how she missed me, all the usual stuff. She came back Sunday night looking tired but happy, saying they'd had an awesome time and she was just glad to be back home. Then, come Wednesday night, 3 days before the wedding, I received a text from a number I didn't recognize. You should see what you did at her bachelorette party. She's not who you think she is. Attached was a video. At first, I almost deleted it thinking it was spam, but something made me open it. What I saw shattered me. It was with 2 guys in what looked like a hotel room doing things to her. She wasn't intoxicated or out of it. She was fully participating and even encouraging them. At one point, she looked at the camera, smiled, and said, "What happens in Miami stays in Miami, right?" Then burst out laughing. I watched the entire video, 3 minutes and 42 seconds of it. That destroyed my relationship and my future plans. I felt physically ill. I didn't confront her immediately. I needed time to process this. I spent the night in the guest bedroom telling myself I wasn't feeling well. The next morning, while she was at her final dress fitting, I called my best man and showed him the video. His face was just as shocked as mine. I needed someone else to confirm what I'd seen. He asked, "What are you thinking of doing?" I told him, "I'm not getting married." I spent Thursday packing essential stuff while I was out with her mom. I left her a note that said, "I know what you did in Miami. The wedding's canceled," and I left my key along with her engagement ring on top of it. I moved temporarily to this apartment and turned off my phone. I couldn't handle the fallout just then. When I turned it back on Saturday morning, our wedding day, I found 47 missed calls and over 60 texts from her family and some friends. The texts ranged from confusion, "Where are you?" to panic, "Please call me. I made a terrible mistake. I want to explain," to anger, "How could you leave me without even talking?" and desperation, "I'll do anything to fix this." Her parents called, obviously angry that I'd abandoned their daughter, but then confused when they found out why. Apparently, finally told them everything after they couldn't reach me. I sent a mass text to the guests explaining that our wedding was canceled because of unforeseen circumstances and apologized for the inconvenience. Then I sent a message to, "There's nothing left to say. It's over." It's been a week now and I've gotten an apartment and started the process of splitting up our lives. I've blocked her everywhere, but she keeps trying to reach me. She says it was a stupid drunk mistake, that it didn't mean anything, and that she was caught up in peer pressure from her friends. But I saw the video and she wasn't that drunk. She knew exactly what she was doing. Her cousin, who wasn't there at the bachelorette, reached out yesterday. She told me is an emotional wreck, barely eating and crying constantly. She begged me to at least talk to her. I told her no because I simply couldn't. I couldn't face her. With what I knew, part of me wishes I'd confronted her face to face instead of just leaving, but I couldn't stomach looking at her knowing what she did. How do you stand at the altar, promising fidelity and trust when she's already broken those vows? I couldn't do it. Some people think I was too harsh, just walking away like that, but how could I ever trust her again? The woman I loved betrayed me in the worst way possible right before our wedding. The pain and humiliation are almost too much to bear. I don't know what comes next, I'm just taking it day by day. No going back. A week or so later, I want to say thanks for the support and advice I got from my last post. It really helped. I found out who sent me the video. Turns out it was the girlfriend of one of the guys slept with. Apparently, he'd been bragging about it, and she found the video on his phone. She's completely ungrateful, but she wanted to let me know. Is still reaching out trying to contact me. She even showed up at my new place, crying and begging to talk. I let her in because I was tired of her causing scenes outside. Her explanation was exactly what I expected. She blamed alcohol, said it was just physical, and told me she loved me, claiming it was a mistake. Same old excuses cheaters always use. But what hit me harder was what she revealed about what actually happened. She admitted they all went to a club and her friends egged her on to have one last fling. She swore those two guys weren't random. They'd met the night before and had been hanging out all weekend. She said it was just that one time, but then she broke down and admitted she made out with one of them the night before she left. The more she talked, the clearer it became. It wasn't a spontaneous drunken mistake. There was flirting, planning, and repeated deliberate choices over several days. The worst part, some of her bridesmaids not only encouraged it but actually filmed her doing it. Those were women she had trusted, women supposed to stand beside us on our big day. When I pointed this out, she got defensive, saying it's normal to have a final fling before marriage. Lots of people do. That was the moment I lost it. I told her, normal. You think cheating on someone you claim to love is normal? Participating in a threesome a week before our wedding on camera, that's normal to you. She started crying harder, crying that I was cruel and unforgiving. She said if I really loved her, I'd understand that it was a mistake and that we should try to work through it. I just laughed. If you really loved me, you wouldn't have fed two guys at your bachelorette party, I told her. She left after that, but not before she said something that chilled me to the bone. You'll regret throwing away everything we built over one mistake. It didn't sound remorseful, just like a threat. Sure enough, now she's painting me as a controlling, emotionally abusive monster. Total BS. She's playing the victim, claiming I abandoned her without even giving her a chance to explain, and that I'm punishing her for one mistake. Some mutual friends have even taken her side. On the financial side, it's a mess. We're fighting over who pays what for the wedding costs. Her parents paid most of the deposits, but many vendors had final payments due the week before, which came from our joint account. She's demanding I reimburse her half since I canceled the wedding. I refused. I'm not paying for a wedding I never got to have because she cheated. I've talked to a lawyer about the house we were buying. Thankfully, the deal hadn't closed yet. We were supposed to sign right after our honeymoon. The lawyer said I'm in the clear since we weren't married yet, but it's still a headache. The social fallout has been just as chaotic. Bridesmaids launched a smear campaign, spinning a twisted version of events, painting me as some kind of monster who just abandoned his over one drunken kiss. They're conveniently leaving out the part about the threesomes. When I confront them, they say I'm shamming her and that what happens at a bachelorette party should stay there. Some people buy their story. I've lost friends over it, people who believe her or think I should forgive her. It's infuriating. The worst was her cousin, the girl who initially messaged me, posting online about how devastated it is and how I threw away a beautiful relationship because of one mistake. But that mistake was two guys on camera a week before our wedding, yet I'm labeled the bad guy for having self-respect. The good news is I've tried to focus on my own healing. The therapist is helping and I've started a new workout routine. I reconnected with old friends I drifted away from during my relationship with. I've even planned a solo trip, taking 2 weeks off to hike in Colorado. I need the space to clear my head. I've been doing some packing too. Every time I find something of a sweater, a book, her favorite mug, it stings. We shared 5 years, good times included, but those weren't all bad. That's what makes this so painful. The person I loved and trusted turned out to be someone entirely different. A friend suggested I probably dodged a bullet, that if she'd done this before marriage, she'd have cheated during it too. Maybe they're right, but it still hurts. I keep trying to spot red flags I might have missed. I obsess over whether I should have confronted her directly instead of just leaving. I was in shock at the time, frozen with what I saw in that video. I couldn't have said or done anything rational back then. Leaving gave me the space to think clearly. Now I take it one day at a time. Some days are better than others. Sometimes I wake up and forget everything for a moment, only for reality to hit me again and the pain floods back. But it's getting easier slowly. I'll keep updating if anything major happens, but I believe this chapter is closing. 2 weeks ago, I finally found peace with the situation. I even found the person who sent me the video. Turns out it was the girlfriend of one of his lovers. She'd been bragging about it and she managed to see the video on his phone. She's not someone I owe gratitude to, but I appreciate that she reached out. Is still chasing me, trying to reconnect, even showed up at my place crying. I let her in because I was tired of her causing scenes. Her explanation was the same nonsense. She was drunk. It was physical. She loved me. It was a mistake. Same excuses. What really got to me was what she told me next. She said they went to the club and her friends pushed her to have one last fling. She admitted the two guys weren't strangers. They'd met the night before and were hanging out over the weekend. She swore it was just that one night, but then she broke down and admitted she'd made out with one of them the night before she left. She insisted it wasn't just a drunken mistake. It was flirting, planning, and repeated decisions over days. Some of her bridesmaids not only encouraged it but actually filmed her. When I called her out, she got defensive, claiming it was normal to have a final fling before marriage. I lost my temper. Normal? You think cheating on someone you claim to love is normal? Participating in a threesome on camera, that's normal. She started crying harder and said I was cruel and unforgiving, that if I really loved her, I'd understand it was a mistake and try to get past it. I just shook my head. If you really loved me, you wouldn't have fed two guys at your bachelorette party, I told her. She stormed out, but before she left, she warned, you'll regret throwing everything away over a mistake. It didn't sound remorseful. It sounded like a threat. Now she's trying to paint me as controlling and emotionally abusive. Total nonsense. She's acting like I abandoned her without giving her a chance to explain, and I'm punishing her for one mistake. Some mutual friends believe her or think I should forgive her. The financial mess is ongoing too. We're fighting over who pays what for the wedding. Her parents paid most deposits, but final bills were due the week before, paid out of our joint account. She wants me to pay her half back, but I refuse. Why should I? I didn't get to have the wedding because she cheated. I spoke to a lawyer even though the house purchase hadn't closed, thankfully. I'm technically in the clear, but it's a headache. The social fallout is just as messy. Her bridesmaids are spreading a false story, painting me as the villain for walking away over one drunken kiss, conveniently leaving out the threesome. When I challenge them, they say I'm shamming her, that what happens on a bachelorette trip stays there. Some people buy the story. I've lost friends, those who believe her or think I should simply forgive. It's frustrating. Her cousin, who first contacted me, posted online pitying and calling my walkaway cowardly. But that mistake wasn't a simple kiss. It was two men on camera a week before the wedding. And yet I'm the bad guy for having standards. The good part? I've started to rebuild. I go to therapy, work out, reconnect with old friends, and plan a solo trip, 2 weeks in Colorado to hike and clear my mind. Every item of I find in our apartment, her book, sweater, coffee mug, reminds me of what we lost. We had 5 years, good memories mixed with bad, and that's part of what hurts so much. The person I loved turned out to be someone I didn't really know. A friend told me I probably dodged a bullet, that if she cheated before marriage, she'd cheat during it. Maybe they're right, but it doesn't make it hurt any less. I keep obsessing over red flags I might have missed. Should I have confronted her? Should I have stayed? That video threw me into shock, and in those first days I couldn't process what I felt. Leaving was the only way I could think clearly. Now I take things day by day. Some mornings I forget for a moment, then the pain hits again, but it gets easier little by little. I'll share updates if anything major happens, but I think this chapter is closing for good now. 2 weeks ago, I finally made peace with it. I found out who sent me that video. Turns out it was friend, the girlfriend of one of her lovers. She'd been bragging about it, and she managed to see the video on his phone. I appreciate her honesty, even if I wish she'd never contacted me. still trying to reach me, even came to my new place crying. I let her in because I was tired of her causing scenes outside. Her story was exactly what I expected. Blame alcohol, say it was just physical, that she loved me and made a mistake. Same old excuses. But what struck me was what she admitted next. She said they went out, her friends encouraged her to have one last fling, and the two guys weren't strangers. They were guys she'd met the night before. She swore it was only that night, but she then broke down and said she'd made out with one of them the night before she left. She insisted it wasn't just drunkenness, it was flirting, planning, knowingly making choices over days. Some bridesmaids had not only helped encourage it but actually filmed her. When I called her out, she claimed it was normal to have a final fling, that lots of people do it, but I told her normal. Cheating on someone you say you love, doing a threesome on camera, that's normal. She cried harder, calling me cruel and unforgiving, claiming if I loved her, I'd understand. I told her, you betrayed me and that's not something I can just accept. She left, but before that she warned me I'd regret walking away. It didn't seem like remorse, it sounded more like a threat. Now she's trying to paint me as a controlling, abusive guy. Total nonsense. She says I abandoned her and I'm punishing her for one mistake. Some mutual friends have taken her side. Legally, the house and wedding expenses have been a mess. Her parents paid most of the deposits, but final bills had come from our joint account. She wants her share back because I canceled, but I refused. Why should I pay for a wedding that never happened? I even talked with a lawyer. Thankfully, I'm in the clear, but it's annoying. The social damage is just as bad. Bridesmaids are spreading lies, claiming I walked away over a drunken kiss, omitting the threesome. They argue I should just forgive and forget, that details don't matter. Some even say I should have been the bigger man and contacted her again. It all just makes me sick. The worst part was her cousin posting online, saying devastated that I threw away a beautiful relationship over one mistake. But that mistake was two guys on camera a week before our wedding. How am I the villain here? The good news is I'm healing. I go to therapy, work out, reconnect with friends I lost during our relationship, and I'm planning a solo hike in Colorado for 2 weeks. I need space to breathe. Packing up belongings in our apartment has been tough. Every sweater, book, mug feels like a gut punch. We had 5 years of good times, bad times, and now it's all just memories. That's what hurts the most, finding out the person I loved and trusted was someone else entirely. A friend told me I probably dodged a bullet, that if I cheated before marriage, she'd cheat during. Maybe he's right, but it still stings. I keep reviewing the signs, wishing I had seen the red flags. I was in shock, frozen by what I saw in that video. I couldn't do anything then. Leaving was the only way to keep my sanity. Now I take it one day at a time. Some mornings I forget, then reality hits again. But I know I'll get through it. I'll update if anything big happens, but I believe this chapter is finally closed. 2 weeks ago, I finally found peace. Turns out's friend, the one who sent me the video, was right, is pregnant. She showed up last week, claiming the baby's mine. She's about 4 months along, which lines up with conception around her bachelorette, but she swears otherwise, that it was from the night before her trip. I can't remember if we did or not, honestly. The week was a blur of wedding prep, and I've asked for a paternity test. She got angry, saying I'm adding insult to injury, but I won't accept responsibility until I see proof. Her history of dishonesty makes me wary. That news threw me into emotional chaos. Part of me hopes it's not mine, but I feel a strange mix of relief and grief about the future I imagined. If it's mine, I want to be involved and do right by the kid. If it's not, I feel a huge weight lifted. But either way, her claim that I'll take her back because of this is pointless. I told her the relationship is over, regardless of what the tests show. Her family is now harassing me, calling me a deadbeat before the child is born. I've told her I'd take responsibility if it's mine, but I need proof first. Financially, we finally settled everything. It wasn't perfect, but it's over. I paid more than I wanted to for wedding costs, but less than she demanded. The house deal fell through, which I think was for the best, and I found a new apartment I actually like better than what we'd planned. As the story unfolds, fewer friends believe her half-truths. Some who sided with her are now apologizing after hearing more. One of her bridesmaids even called me to admit she filmed the video and regrets encouraging. She said she was on cocaine that weekend, which she never mentioned before, and that things went out of control. Also confirmed my suspicion that this was first-time cheating. Apparently, she had an incident 2 years earlier with which her friends covered up. Learning that validated my doubts. Her pattern of betrayal reveals this wasn't just a one-time mistake. It proved I made the right call walking away. As for me, I'm doing better. Therapy's helping, I've been working out, and I've reconnected with old friends. I even started casually dating again with no rush. It's too soon for anything serious. The biggest challenge remains the pregnancy. If the child is mine, my life will change forever. If not, I'll feel a huge relief but also guilt for the innocent kid involved. I plan to proceed with the paternity test and focus on healing. 6 months later, the results are in. The baby isn't mine. I wasn't surprised, but it still hit me hard. Relief was the primary emotion, but I also felt a strange sense of loss for the future I'd built. Part of me had started imagining fatherhood with, despite everything. She's devastated. She broke down entirely when I told her. She admitted she hoped the baby was mine because she thought it might fix everything. She even said she'd suspected one of the Miami guys was the dad but convinced herself otherwise because it was too painful. I almost felt sorry for her, almost. But then I remembered the lies, manipulation, and harassment. She and her family guilt-tripped and shamed me into believing I was the villain, even calling me a deadbeat. When I confronted her about story of her past cheating, she initially everything but eventually confessed. Yes, she'd cheated on me a few times, once after a company party with 2 years ago and another mistake a year into our relationship. Those were known to her friends, but she lied about them. Who knows how many more she kept quiet. If she'd been honest about the past, maybe we could work through it. But her pattern of deception, culminating just before our wedding, made reconciliation impossible. Trust was shattered. She admitted she reached out to both Miami guys when she found out she was pregnant. One blocked her immediately, the other is in the middle of divorce proceedings, refusing involvement beyond minimal legal support. Her family and friends are now switching sides, some regretting their earlier support. I saw her again last week in a small downtown coffee shop. She looked different, thinner, exhausted, and her hair cut short, her once confident face now worn down. She recognized me first, and after a tense moment she asked if we could talk. Against my better judgment, I agreed. She looked me directly in the eyes and said, "I'm sorry, not just for what I did, but for how I handled everything afterward. You deserve better. I was selfish and stupid, and I destroyed the best thing in my life." That apology was unexpectedly sincere. I didn't try to justify or blame alcohol or friends. She took responsibility without excuses. She told me about her life now, the struggles of single motherhood, the judgment from people who know what she did, the loss of friends and respect. Her parents are moving closer to help, and her career's been slowed by stress and pregnancy issues. She's in therapy, trying to understand why she sabotaged her happiness. She admitted the hardest part was knowing she hurt someone who truly loved her. I didn't say much. Honestly, the anger I once had melted into a kind of numb acceptance. I told her I appreciated her honesty and wished her the best with her son. When I got up, she asked one last question. "Are you happy?" Without hesitation, I thought of Melissa, my job, my travels, my friends, the life I've been rebuilding, and I said, "Yes, I am." She nodded, giving me a look of sadness mixed with understanding. "Good, you deserve to be." That 5-minute conversation gave me more closure than all the therapy I ever did. I didn't need her apology. I'd moved on long before she reached out. But seeing her acknowledge everything and accept responsibility finally lifted the last bit of burden from my heart. There's no anger left, no resentment, not even pity, just a calm recognition that some choices change everything, and all we can do is adapt and move forward. A couple of nights ago, I was watching the sunset from my balcony with Melissa, feeling grateful for everything. Not because Julia deserved the fallout or because I take pleasure in her suffering. No, I'm grateful because that painful chapter freed me. In her attempt to destroy me, She inadvertently set me free to find true happiness. That's it, the end of a story I never expected to be part of. To everyone who stuck with me and offered support, thank you. For those going through something similar, just remember, it gets better. The pain fades, and sometimes what's on the other side is something even better than what you lost. Thanks for listening. If you like our stories, please like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.